Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Right, so we are going through Mukhtasar al-Qudoori. If you guys are not familiar with this YouTube channel, please check out my videos that I make and let me know what you guys think, and any feedback that you guys can give, inshallah, would be highly appreciated. Very, very much appreciated, inshallah. Right, so let's have a go at this then. So this is now Bab as-Sarf. This is a new chapter. So Sarf, this word means what we call a foreign exchange. Foreign exchange. And then you have as-Sarfu huwa al-Bay'u. Bay' is trade. إذا كان كل واحد من عوضيه. عوضيه means exchangeable items. Exchangeable items. من جنس الأثمان. ثمن is price, as you know. فضة is silver. ذهبا is gold. We've done this before. مثلا بمثل, it means the same quantity, amount. اختلف, it means differ. So differ. And then juda means quality. Okay, so quality. And then you've got siyagha, it means design. So design. Qabd means possession, to possess. And then iwadain, we've done that before. Qabla iftiraq means separation. So separation. By the way, guys, I've got a new tablet, alhamdulillah. That's why I'm looking down and I'm able to write much easier now with this, alhamdulillah, due to your guys' du'as and you guys support the channel. إذا باء الذهب, تفاضل means excess. وجب التقابض, تقابض from the قبض. افترق الصرف قبل القبض عوضيه وأحدهما بعض. بطل العقد, بطل means becomes void. تصرف, then that. قبل قبضه يجوز بيع الذهب بالفضة. مجازفة means in approximation. قبل قبض. ومن باع سيفا, سيف is a sword. محلى, it means decorated. بمئة درهم, silver coin. And حليته 50. حلية means the jewelry or the design. درهم فدفع من ثمنه 50 جازة. Okay, let's just move this up a bit. So 50 is 50, as we said. جاز البيع وكان مقبوض. مقبوض means the thing that is possessed. من حصة, the portion of the silver. وإن لم يبين, explain. ذلك وكذا إن كان أخذ, take. أخذ means take. And then من ثمنهما يتقابضا, again to take possession mutually. افترقا, to separate. حلية, we've done that, decoration. سيف إن كان لا يتخلص means to be dismantled. So dismantle. إلا بضرر, with some harm. كانت تخلص بغير ضرر. جاز البيع في السيف وبطل في الحلية. Okay. Now let's have a go at a bit of tarkeeb then. Okay, so see randomly things pop up. Alright, so باب الصرف هذا. باب الصرف. الصرف مبتدأ, and then هو البيع إذا كان كل واحد من عوضيه من جنس الأثمان. فإن باع فضة بفضة أو ذهبا بذهب لم يجوز إلا مثلا بمثل. Okay, so this is مثلا بمثل منصوب بمثل جار مجرور وإن اختلفا. So this is a dual verb. اختلفا في الجودة والصياغة. So it's مجرور. لا بد. So this is نفي الجنس. من قبض عوضين مضاف إليه قبل مضاف إليه افتراق. باء الذهب مفعول به ذهب فضة جاز التفاضل ووجب التقابض وإن افترقا في الصرف قبل قبض عوضين أو أحدهما بطل العقد فعل فاعل. ولا يجوز التصرف فاعل في ثمن الصرف مضاف إليه. Okay. 1 second. قبل قبضه. ويجوز بيع الذهب بالفضة مجازفة ومن باع سيفا محلى. This is محلى. Okay. محلى ب100 مضاف إليه وحليته مبتدأ 50 درهما تمييز فدفع من ثمنه 50 جاز البيع فاعل. وكان المقبوض من حصة الفضة وإن لم يبين جزم ذلك. كذلك إن قال خذ هذه 50 من ثمنهما فإن لم يتقابض حتى افترقا بطل العقد في الحلية والسيف إن كان لا يتخلص إلا بضرر وإن كان يتخلص بغير ضرر جاز البيع في السيف وبطل في الحلية. Okay, so there you go. It's kind of straightforward. If there's any specific kind of question that you might have with regards to the tarkib, please let me know and I'll try to see what I can do. All right, so let's try and explain what is going on in this particular masala over here. Okay, so bab al-sarf. Sarf is basically when you're dealing with foreign exchange. Okay, so you're dealing with currency, right? So it's one of those kind of masail. And the reason why this is problematic is because this is to do with riba. So let's say, for example, there are two guys, and these two guys are dealing with gold. So this guy's going to give some gold, and this guy is going to give gold as well, right? If it gives gold versus gold, then obviously it's a riba. We've done this in the chapter of riba. If he does silver for silver, silver versus silver, then again this is going to be a riba, meaning, if you remember, we talked about it over there, it has to be equal amounts. So in order for this transaction to be valid, there has to be mithal for mithal, same to same, like they say, same to same. And if it's different, like if it's gold versus silver, then there doesn't have to be same amount. Right? It doesn't have to be the same amount, but it has to be on the spot. So this one has to be on spot transaction. This one has to be on the spot transaction, meaning both items mutually have to be given at the same time. Okay. By the way, do you guys like the lighting? Does the lighting impress you? Dark background, yeah, and just focusing on me. So this is where the rules kind of apply. And in today's times, we would also apply this to, in today's currency as well. So if a person was giving, pounds for dollars, right? So the same rulings would apply. We call this foreign exchange, or another word for it is Forex. Not that Forex company. That's a specific type of company, but this is Forex as foreign exchange. Yeah, foreign exchange. Okay, so he says, as-sarfu huwa al-bay'u. Huwa al-bay'u. Just bring the color here. Okay. It's a bit bigger. I think this is a bit too small here. Okay. Alright, so as-sarfu huwa sarf, foreign transaction, is a transaction إذا كان كل واحد, when both sides, من إوديه, of the exchangeable items are from the jins al-athman, or from the genus of currency. So if you're selling gold for gold, silver for silver, then that's called foreign exchange. However, if you're selling something like, let's say, gold for a car, or you're selling silver for a laptop, then that is not considered foreign exchange, okay? So, فَإِن بَاءَ فِضَّةً, so this is a scenario now. إن باء فضة بفضة أو ذهبا بذهب لم يجوز إلا مثلا بمثل. If a person sells gold for gold or silver for silver, then it is not permitted لم يجوز إلا مثلا, same. So if it's 1 kilo of gold for 1 kilo of gold, 1 kilo of silver for 1 kilo of silver. وإن اختلف في الجودة والصياغة, even if the gold and the silver are different in juda, quality. So let's say, for example, like one is for instance 24 karat gold, and the other one is, let's say, 18 karat gold. Yeah, so 18 karat gold for 20. This is juda, right? So juda, quality, it's different. It doesn't matter. You have to still give the same. Right, so quality does not really have an impact. As long as it's recognized as gold, it has to be. And siyaga means, like, let's say, for instance, let's say this is a gold bar, and that's a gold bangle or bracelet. Yeah, so that's siyaga, design. So you just look at the weight, basically. So it doesn't matter the design. Design could be very expensive, intricate design. Does not matter. That adds no value to this trade. Does that make sense? So if you're selling gold for gold, it has to be identical. Silver for silver, identical amounts. It doesn't matter if the qualities differ. It doesn't matter if the designs differ. Okay. وَلَا بُدَّ مِنْ قَبْضِ الْإِوَضَيْنِ. He says it's necessary to do qabd of the iwadain, of the two exchangeable items, qabl al-iftiraq. So that's what it's on the spot. Alright, so that's on the spot. وَإِذَا بَاءَ, and when a person sells gold for silver, جَازَ التَّفَاضُل, excess is allowed. Right, so when gold is sold for silver, then you can have different amounts. So you can have, let's say, 1 kilo of gold for, let's say, 10 kilos of silver. That's fine, totally fine. No problem in that issue. Okay. وَوَجَبَ التَّقَابُض, however, taqabud is necessary. Yeah, so taqabud is on the spot. We call this on the spot. Yeah, so in other words, separation cannot occur before they've exchanged the items. All right. وَإِنْ افترقا قبل, so let's change the color of this. وَإِنْ افترقا قبل في التصرف في صرفه, and if two people, they separate in a contract of sarf. Yeah, so basically they go their own ways. Then قبل قبض الإوذين, before both parties mutually have taken them, or even one of them has taken them, أحدهما بطل العقد, the transaction becomes void, nullified. Right, it doesn't go through. So that's the important part that we need to understand about this. Okay, so I hope that part makes quite much sense. Let's try to make sense of the next part then. Alright, so now next he says ولا يجوز التصرف في الثمن الصرفي قبل قبضه. So let's say there's these two guys. Okay, and they do a deal at 10 a.m. Alright, that's the deal time. So this guy has given gold, and this guy has given, let's say, I don't know, silver. Right, because these were the common two metals. So this guy handed over his gold. Now, like, basically, as long as they're in the gathering, right? So let's say, for example, now it's 10:30 and they're still talking. So they made the deal, but they haven't handed over yet. So one guy's given over, that's fine. Other guy hasn't given it over yet, he's still waiting. And before he actually gives it over, this guy has already spoken to someone else. He's already used the gold. Yeah. If this guy has used the gold before, yeah, let's say he's used the gold. So in the 10 a.m. the deal started. It's become 10:30 now. This guy is not allowed to use the gold before he's taken possession of it. Right? So possession is important. All right. So this is why this guy over here, he has to receive the gold. Then he can go, and if he wants to make another deal with someone else, right? So, he wants to go and sell it to someone else, then he can do that. But he has to take possession. That's the most important thing. Likewise, this guy as well. And obviously, mutual possession has to take place before they separate. Let's say they're separating at 10:30. In this window of half an hour, he has to exchange. وَلَا يَجُوزُ التَّصَرُّفُ. So dealing of either side. This guy cannot deal in the silver, and this guy cannot deal in the gold. في الثمن الصرف قبل قبضه, prior to the qabd, prior to taking possession. All right. So this is again something which is very important to understand. Now, in today's times, this type of masala, obviously, where would this masala usually occur? So this masala usually occurs. It occurs in when a person's doing foreign exchange. Okay, foreign exchange, and when a person is going to the jewelry store. So the jewelry store, and a person's buying gold for cash. So cash, gold, and silver are all considered to be sarf commodities, right? So cash, gold, and silver are all treated as sarf commodities. That's why very, very important that if a person is going to buy some gold jewelry in the store, they have to take possession of the gold, or at least have some sort of a understanding of receipt taking place. Okay, next. وَيَجُوزُ بَيْءُ الذَّهَبِ بِالْفِضَّةِ مُجَازَفَةً. It's permissible to sell, like like this one over here. You can sell as much gold and silver as you like. You can sell it in approximation. Let's say some guy said, like let's say for example, this guy, he gave a handful of gold, and this guy gave a bag full of silver. That's fine, no problem, because as long as the two items are different, not the same genus, then it's totally considered to be permissible. Now he brings an example of a very particular masala. This is known as the sword masala, the decorated sword masala. All right, so let's look at this decorated sword. What's this decorated sword masala about? Now, if you guys like my channel, guys, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment now, and if you want to support my channel, if you want to become a patron for this channel, then please think about becoming one. It supports me a lot, helps me make these kind of videos, take out my time, and buy all this software and gadgets to be able to produce good quality videos, inshallah. All right, so he says, "Woman ba'asif." So imagine there is a sword here. Now, have you ever seen those swords of the olden days, right? So these swords, if you ever seen them, right? So this is supposed to be like a sword, okay? No, it's a bit of a strange sword. Okay, so this sword has two parts to it. You have, this is known as the decoration, known as the hilya. And this is known as the blade. Okay, so this is the blade. Now, the decoration would usually have some sort of silver on there. The men would put like silver on there, or maybe some gold or something they used to have in the past. Right, so this would contain silver or gold. Right, it would contain that. Now, if you're selling a sword, okay, let me just try to. A bit smaller. Okay, so let's say, for example, there is a guy, and this guy wants to buy this sword. Yeah, so let's say this is the guy selling the sword. So now, if he gives the sword over to him, how much is this sword? So let's say the silver on the sword is worth 50 dirhams. Okay, the silver in the sword is worth 50 dirhams. Now, if this guy is going to buy it with silver, so he's going to give a bag of silver. Remember, he has to make sure that the amount of silver that he gives is going to be more than 50, right? Because let's say, for example, he gives 60. So 50 will go towards we'll cancel out the handle, yeah? And the other 10 will go towards the blade. Yeah, so this is supposed to go there, and that's supposed to go there. Yeah, so basically, you don't want there to be excess on one side. That's the idea. And that's what he wants to explain. So let's have a look at this masala then. He says, Man ba'a sayfan, whoever sells a sword. So this guy is selling a sword. Muhalla, which is decorated, bi mi'at dirhamin. Right? Okay, so he's selling it for 100 dirham. So let's put down 100 here. His asking price is 100. That's what he wants. I want 100 for this. وَحِلْيَةُ خَمْسُونَ, and the handle is actually worth 100. Alright, so handle is worth 100. Let's put a nice color here. So 100. Alright, so you got that there. وَحِلْيَةُ خَمْسُونَ dirhaman فَدَفَعَ مِنْ ثَمَنِهِ 50 جَازَ. So this guy, he was supposed to give. Now, okay, how much is he going to give? So let's rub this figure out then. Let's put a new figure in here. So now he wants to buy this and he's selling it for 100. And this guy's supposed to give 100, yes? So this guy's supposed to give 100. From that 100, he's actually only given... He's only given 50 so far. He's given 50 now. And he's going to give 50 tomorrow. Yeah, 50 now, 50 tomorrow. So how is this going to work? Is this going to be jaiz? Because like we said, if you do a foreign exchange transaction, the foreign exchange transaction has to be done in such a way that money has been exchanged on the spot. So this sword, this part of it is a foreign exchange deal, and this part is not a foreign exchange deal. Does that make sense? So look, he says, وَحِلْيَتُهُ 50 dirham. فَدَفَعَ مِنْ ثَمَنِهِ 50. So this guy now, over here, has given over 50. جَازَ الْبَيْءُ, the bay will be jaiz. And وَكَانَ الْمَقْبُوضُ مِنْ حِصَّةِ الْفِضَّةِ. So whatever he's taken possession of, so if the sword has now been handed over to this guy, so this guy now has been given the sword, right? So he's given the sword, and this guy has now been given the 50. So he says the maqbood, what's been possessed, what has been possessed is hissat al-fidda. Yeah, so what's been possessed. So that's why we're trying to rectify the transaction. We're saying, okay, well, because the silver and gold thing has to be done immediately on the spot, we're going to say this 50 over here, that's been handed over. That's the 50 that's been exchanged. And the other 50 now is going to go towards the blade, and that part of the transaction can be deferred because that part is not, silver is not part of a foreign exchange contract. Does that make sense? That's what he wants to say. So look, he says, وَحِلْيَتُهُ 50 dirhaman فَدَفَعَ مِنْ ثَمَنِهِ. So the hilya is 50. Now this guy has handed over only 50. Now in order for us to make his transaction jaiz, we're going to say that thing that he has possessed is in exchange for the 50. So that because that 50 for the 50 has handed over, that means the foreign exchange has been done. وَإِن لَمْ يُبَيِّن, even if in the contract he did not explicitly say this, that this 50 is going towards the handle, because 50 might go towards the blade, or it might, half of that 50 might go towards the blade, and half of it might go towards the handle. Does that make sense? Now this is based upon an important rule, which is we always try to make a Muslim's transaction as jaiz as possible. So whenever Muslims do transactions, we always want to try and find a jaiz sort of like solution for them as best as possible. وَإِن لَمْ يُبَيِّن ذَلِكَ. Okay, so that's one scenario. Scenario number one. Let's put down one over here. And then he says, وَإِن قَالَ خُذْ هَذِي الْخَمْسِينَ مِنْ ثَمَنِهَا. Okay. So now, if he says, so let's move this a bit away. The nice thing about technology, you can easily just shift it around. Okay, now let's say for example there's two people, and this guy's got the sword again, so he's got the, okay, and this guy says take 50, and look at the exact wording, for their thaman. Okay, so if he also, the same ruling will also apply if he says, take 50 for both of them, them meaning for the handle and for the blade. Even then the transaction be considered to be jaiz, right? We can also say, okay, 50 for that means 25 for this, 25 for this. But what we're going to assume is the 50 is going to entirely go towards this to make the transaction jaiz, right? So this will also be considered to be jaiz. وكذلك, likewise, in قال, if he says, خذ هذه الخمسين, take this 50. So this guy's saying, right, I'm going to give you 100, but for now, take this 50 for them too. من ثمنهما. Then it's jaiz as well, right? In both these scenarios, scenario number 2 as well, this is also going to be considered to be jaiz as well. So whether he just gives and does not specify where that 50 is going towards, or whether he even says it's going to both of these, then it's jaiz as well. Now, in both of these scenarios, in lam yataqabada, if they don't take possession, right? So in lam yataqabada, for in lam yataqabada, so if these two parties make an agreement, right, between 10 and 10:30 a.m. This is when they're doing the deal. They don't take possession, they walk away. So they've done ijab and qabul, but they haven't switched. حتى افترقا, until they separate بطل العقد في الحلية والسيف. Then we have to look at two scenarios, right? So they've both separated in this case. Now, can this sword, so what they're saying is, can this sword be separated easily from the handle? Can it be detached? Like if you've seen some of those samurai swords, you can take off the handle, remove the handle from the blade. If the handle can be removed from the blade without harming it, right? So let's write this down then. So if the handle can be removed without harm, then the transaction goes through, but only in the blade, because now that's going to be considered to be a deferred contract for the blade. Because remember, we're trying to find a solution here. What is the solution for this contract? How can we make this contract as jaiz as possible? But if it can't, so let's write harm, then not jaiz. Yeah, so this is what he's saying. He says, in kana la yatakhallas, if it cannot be separated or detached, illa bidarar, except with harm, then not jaiz. Wa in kana yatakhallas bighayri darar, and if it can be separated without darar, jaz al-bay'u fi sayf, in the blade the deal goes through and it becomes void in the adornment. Does that make sense? So let me summarize this masala. This is a bit of a kind of difficult masala to grasp. So let me just put this towards one side. Okay, so if I was to write, like let's say a rule down, a rule would be this. So number 1, try to make a Muslim's deal as jaiz as possible. Yeah, meaning always try to find a way that you can say, okay, well, you know, what if you look at it this way, then it'll be jaiz. This much of it will be jaiz. As long as we can do something like that, we make it jaiz. Otherwise, no. Right? You can't make haram halal. And that's the thing about, you know, modern trade transactions. So whenever you're dealing with a modern financial problem, you always try to look through the entire books of fiqh to try and see what this model what kind of jaiz solution can we have for this particular model that they come out with. Like, let's say, for example, it's drop shipping. So we're thinking to ourselves, does salam apply to this? Can this be considered to be an ijara? How can we find a solution for this? Or let's say a person is trying to money exchange, like money transfer to another country. How can we make this transaction jaiz when we're sending money to another part of the world and at the same time money conversion is taking place? Because that's a problem. Can you see over here? That is another problem, yeah, which I'll show you in a bit. So this is the whole solution. So basically, if a guy was selling a sword that had no jewelry on it, that transaction would have been fine on the spot and even deferred, no problem. If a guy was selling doing a transaction of something where he was exchanging something that was pure silver for pure silver, and he only made half the payment, yeah. In fact, if I write this down, I think it'll probably make more sense. Yeah. So if it's silver versus silver, and there was deferred, so there was deferred, then this would not be jais, because there's no solution for it. There's no way you come up with a solution, right? Unless you kind of said, well, they haven't made an agreement yet and it's just a promise. Well, that doesn't make sense. If, however, it's, for example, silver and the other item is part silver and part something else, non-currency, yeah, non-currency. So in that case, we would have to look into the situation. Yeah, we'd have to look into the situation. We say, okay, how much of the silver has he given? Right, so let's say it's, for example, silver is 10 and the non-silver is 10. And he's given, from the 20 silver, he's only given 10. So we can say, okay, at least the 10 for the 10 is done. The other, sorry, he's going to give 20, sorry. And out of that 20, 10 has been given now and 10 is going to be given tomorrow. So that 10 is for that 10 and that 10 is for that 10. Right, so you kind of like find a solution for how you can go about it. And if it's, for example, like silver for obviously versus just non-silver, right, then that's totally permissible. However you sell it, you pay now or you pay later, totally fine. Yeah. Now, the reason I said to you with regards to something like, when it comes to foreign sort of transfer, foreign, currency transfer, these kind of MoneyGram and Western Union, all these things. The problem is you've got one person in one part of the world, another person in another part of the world. And what happens is that you're making a deal. So you're giving, let's say, for example, £100 here, and you're sending it to Saudi Arabia for, let's say, I don't know, of their money. How much is their money? So let's say it's 400 riyals. Yeah, 400 riyals is their money. So now, when you're doing this transfer, what's happening? You're exchanging the money, but it's not being transferred on the spot. Like the people are not there in the gathering. That is a problematic issue. And that's why they try to find solution for this issue, right? They might say, for example, oh, this issue is permissible because over here, there's, let's say, a wakala taking place, right? A kind of wakil. Now, I don't want to talk too much about this because this is now going to become a bit complicated. And this ties strongly into the concept of notes. What is the ruling of notes? Yeah, notes. So there was, in the past like 100 or 150 years, there was a big ikhtilaf between scholars in regards to how do we deal with notes. Majority of the scholars said that notes are going to be treated like gold and silver. But there was a small minority of scholars that were saying no, notes are not treated like gold and silver, and that's why they said notes will not fall under the rulings of foreign exchange. You can give as many pounds as for many pounds as you like. Or you can give pounds now, or you can pick up dollars, I don't know, whenever. It's totally fine. All right, so that is, again, inshallah, if I get into Hidayah, then I'll explain all this in a lot of detail. But for now, all you have to understand is this. All right, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, guys. You know what can happen. All right, so let's ask questions now. Question time. What is sarf, guys? What is sarf? So now sarf is a transaction of gold and silver, or anything that's currency in exchange for currency. And what's the ruling of giving gold for gold? It has to be on the spot and it has to be the same. And what about gold for silver? It has to be on the spot, but it can be in any amount. Does quality and design affect the ruling of same for same? So we say no, it doesn't, right? So it doesn't matter what the quality is, you have to give the same amount. So 24 carats for 18 carats. Okay, what's the ruling of a person selling a sword? So they give silver in exchange for a sword that contains silver and non-silver. What's the ruling for this? So the ruling is that the amount of silver in the sword, the money has to be given for that on the spot. Yeah, and the rest can be given later. And if it's not given on the spot, then that means the transaction is going to become void. All right, so that's it, guys. Hope you guys benefit from this. Let me know of this new setup if you like this kind of setup, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks to my patrons, for all you beautiful people, for supporting my channel. May Allah bless all of you guys. And if there's any sort of question that you guys have, or you want to become a supporter of the channel, please check out the description below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.